When you experience an eclipse, you feel that connection with space.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, look at the ray structure.
The universe is out there and it's affecting us. We are in space.
And here it comes, there's the diamond ring. And that is the most spectacular sight.
If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen anything.
is the most spectacular sight.
If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen anything.
When you experience an eclipse, you feel that connection with space.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, look at the ray structure.
The universe is out there and it's affecting us. We are in space.
And here it comes, there's the diamond ring. And that is the most
There's a quiet that comes down when the darkness suddenly comes.
It was like you could feel the shadow coming over you.
The air was so clear that we could just see these streaks moving huge distances across the sky.
You feel it in a way that feels so different. The images don't do it justice.
And then you're just sort of locked in.
When you experience an eclipse, you feel that connection with space.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, look at the ray structure.
The universe is out there and it's affecting us. We are in space.
And here it comes, there's the diamond ring. And that is the most spectacular sight.
If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen anything.
Hello, and welcome to live coverage of the celestial event of the year, the total solar eclipse. Over the next 3 hours, we will follow the moon's shadow as it races across North America. We are anchoring our coverage from the heart of downtown Cleveland, Ohio, just down the road from NASA's Glenn Research Center, the only NASA center in today's path of totality. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and this is NASA lunar scientist Sarah Noble.
Hello.
Today, NASA and the Great Lakes Science Center is hosting this free outdoor event for the community to experience the total solar eclipse together. You saw that beautiful aerial shot that we just had opening the show. We're seeing it again here. As you can see, we have a great fun crowd here.
Yeah, we've been watching the crowd build all morning, and you can really feel the excitement starting to come now.
Yeah, absolutely. The watch item, of course, is the weather. Beautiful right now here in Cleveland.
It's perfect right now.
It's perfect, yes.
We woke up to rain and it cleared, but I don't know what we're going to get this afternoon.
Yeah, Sarah, you said that with a little bit of trepidation, and that's because it looks like there might be some cloud cover around the time of the total solar eclipse here, totality, but we'll see. All right, so on your screen now is the first look at the eclipse from Mazatlan, Mexico, one of the first communities the moon's shadow will darken today. Right now, you see we're seeing a partial eclipse of the sun right now, but if you look at the upper left-hand corner of your screen, we're expecting totality there in about an hour and 4 minutes. And we want to thank our team of telescope operators spread out across North America. Because of them, we will always have a view of the sun during this entire broadcast, which is really awesome.
All the way from Mazatlan up to Maine.
Yeah, a very large swath, and we have it covered the whole way through. Now, if you scan your QR code that you see on the screen here, it'll take you to a live stream dedicated to just those telescope views, and it'll also take you to a Spanish broadcast of today's eclipse, and that starts at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Sarah, as you know this, all of the telescopes used for this broadcast have special filters on them, and those protect the operator's equipment and also the operators themselves, because if you view the eclipse without the proper protection, then it can severely damage your eyes.
Yeah, that's right. We want everyone to enjoy the eclipse today, but we want them to do it safely.
Right. So how do you do that safely? Well, you should be shielding your eyes with eclipse glasses like these. Hopefully you bought them from a reputable source and that they have a special rating on them, and this rating means that the lenses meet international standards to protect your eyes from the sun's bright light. But Sarah, you can remove the glasses during totality,
That's
correct?
right. If you're lucky to be in the path of totality, you can, for those, that short amount of time that you're in 100% totality. 99% totality doesn't cut it.
Right, exactly. 100%, nothing less. Now, if you don't have eclipse glasses, you can enjoy it indirectly with tools like pinhole projectors. And if you want to make one with us live in about 30 minutes, just grab a sturdy piece of paper or cardboard and a thumbtack or other sharp pin. I'm going to use my NASA pin for when we make it. All right, so Sarah, what are we expecting today? What is a total solar eclipse?
So total solar eclipse happens when the Earth, the moon, and the sun are so perfectly aligned that the moon completely blacks out our view of the sun.
And does that happen often?
Actually, somewhere in the world, there's an eclipse about every 18 months or so, but like in any particular place, it's a pretty rare event.
Yeah, I mean, specifically here in Cleveland, the last time Cleveland had a total solar eclipse, get this, 1806.
Wow, that's remarkable.
So quite a long time ago. Once in a lifetime opportunity. All right, but not everyone is going to be able to see the moon completely eclipsing the sun.
That's right. Only those of us in this narrow path of totality. But just about everyone in the U.S. will get to see a partial eclipse today, weather permitting.
Weather permitting, yes. I hope that Cleveland here and everyone else along the path of totality will be good and clear. Okay, so let's take a look at today's path of totality. It passes through parts of Mexico, 15 U.S. states, and southeastern Canada. There's an estimated 32 million people who live along the path, and not to mention the tens and thousands of people who travel to somewhere along it as well, like us. You know, you're from D.C. and I'm from Florida.
And I feel very lucky to be able to get to travel to see this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have live reports from our correspondents spread out across the path, all excited to share this event with you. Some recognizable locations in between: the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home of the famous Indy 500, and then also Niagara Falls, where officials expect up to 1 million visitors. Look at our team there waving at you. Happy to see you guys, and we'll hear from you soon. Okay, so again, we will hear from those correspondents, but also on our broadcast, a live interview with astronauts on board the International Space Station. Sarah's already ready.
So excited
She's ready, because that's going to be obviously a unique place to witness today's celestial event, so we'll talk to them about that. We're also going to explain some of the science NASA will conduct during the eclipse and why that's important to you. And if you have questions about today's cosmic alignment, use the hashtag Eclipse to send those in wherever you're watching us. We already have some questions from some kids.
Excellent.
And a celebrity. I can't wait to surprise you with who that is. All right, in addition to NASA's Eclipse event here, there are plenty more in communities across the country, so why don't we take a look at some of them now. All right, so this is the California Academy of Sciences. That's a beautiful place to witness.
Wow, looks like they have great weather today. They're only going to get a partial eclipse there, but, you know, still, that is more than enough reason to get outside and enjoy some time with your friends and family.
Waco, Texas, people have their seats. They're ready to go. They're all comfortable. I see some coolers there.
Oh.
And this is the Adirondack Sky Center. They have a big field for people to view. You know, a couple of days ago, we saw the same field. It was covered in snow.
So I'm glad they have a nice place to sit.
Exactly. And Kennedy Space Center, the famous rocket garden that we have at the visitors complex there, that's also a cool place to watch a partial
eclipse, yep.
Yeah. And then lastly, the Mentor Civic Amphitheater, a nice big field again to take a look out into and enjoy today's event. I'm sure that'll fill up soon.
Yes, I'm sure. Still gathering there.
All right, very much a party atmosphere we've seen in some of those watch parties, and especially here, again, the music, the exhibits, all the things happening here. Kind of reminds me of a sporting event, you know? So because of that, I'm going to ask you, who's the GOAT today, right? Is it the moon, is it the sun, or is it the earth?
I mean, I'm a lunar scientist, so I may be a little biased, but you got to go with the moon on this one, right? It's the moon that is like coming in for the block today. It's all the action to the moon.
I love that sports reference, but I'm going to have to say Earth. Because, well, first of all, we love our home planet, right? But because we're here, the moon has something to project its shadow on, and that's why we have the celestial alignment and show we're about to see today. That's where I'm going. That's how I'm going, yeah? All right, and now we want to know which team you're on. You can cast your vote by going to @NASA Solar System on Facebook, X, or Instagram, and we'll reveal the winning team at the end of the broadcast. Earth. The moon's shadow will only be over land for about 1 hour and 28 minutes today, moving at an average speed of about 1,900 miles an hour. Keeping track of it for us is NASA's James Traley.
Yeah, thanks so much, Megan. I'm going to have to go with option number 3 there, the sun, because it gives us the energy for us to thrive here on Earth. And speaking of energy, it is bustling here at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. I'm coming to you from our new Gateway exhibit, where we today only have a partial eclipse, but still super excited to be tracking all of today's events live with our Eclipse Explorer. This right here is a fantastic tool that was developed by our friends at NASA Goddard Science Visualization Studio. They put this tool together for us to track the eclipse down to the exact second. If you wanted to get an access to this yourself, get a feel for how this is going to look in your neck of the woods, you can go to go.nasa.gov/Eclipse Explorer, and you can track where your city is going to be, your zip code, by punching it into this little box here. It's going to snap right to your location and give you some key stats. You just saw Cleveland there, so I can bring them up here. Cleveland is expecting peak totality here to start at 3:13:45 to be precise, local time. They've got a time of totality of 3 minutes, 49 seconds, plenty of time to really sit back and bask in their moment in the fully eclipsed sun. I'm going to be tracking all of this all throughout the afternoon for you to make sure that you do not miss a second of this coverage. Even if you're outside of that path of totality like we are right here, more than 99% of the U.S. is going to be able to see at least a partial eclipse. Some places are already experiencing, you just saw that footage from Mazatlan a little while ago, they're already experiencing a partial eclipse. And as always, if you are in partial, be sure to wear proper eye protection to protect your vision so you can safely enjoy today's fantastic celestial event. Plenty of awesome stuff coming up. We're going to keep a keen eye on that weather. Cleveland's looking nice and beautiful, very clear skies. Megan, back to you.
Thank you, James. And joining us now is Dr. Bob Lehman, a heliophysicist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So talk to us. Today's total solar eclipse, it's going to look very different from what we saw 7 years ago, right?
It is, right. The sun is going to look, the solar corona is going to look very cool today. It's going to look cooler than it did last time. And I mean cool in the sense of wow.
Not cold.
Not cold, because the solar corona is like 1,000,000 degrees. But compared to last time, was close to the solar minimum, the minimum amount of magnetic activity on the sun. There's this 11-year or so cycle, and 2017 was closer to minimum, and 2024, April 2024 was pretty much close right to the maximum of that. So we're going to see the maximum amount of dynamism, of activity, and it's going to look, you'll see rays shooting out.
And does that increased activity mean that we have a chance for new discoveries today and increased science?
Sure. So in addition to the science that will be done because of the eclipse, just greater activity levels means that we have more chance to see what the sun is going to do, increased radiation levels, increased activity eruptions that will affect the Earth.
So how does that affect the Earth, and how do we study those effects? What do we have, the tools, the assets to study those effects?
Sure. So we call the whole general thing space weather, so we get increased radiation or what we call coronal mass ejections, chunks of the suns that blow off and hit the Earth, and those affect things like power grids and radio communications and GPS satellites, all of which are everyday real implications for that thing that's 93 million miles away.
And how do you feel? You know, you're a heliophysicist. This is kind of like your Super Bowl.
Pretty much, yeah. You are not the first person to say that to me today.
and are we right?
Pretty much, yes. I mean, this is it. I mean, 7 years, and I like to say there's the diving, trying to reach the goal line from the Super Bowl, what, 15, 20 years ago. That was like, totality, not totality, and yeah, today is it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will have a whole bunch of fun here.
Yeah, again, eclipses are a unique opportunity to really study the sun and how it affects us. So I know that, again, your fellow heliophysicists and really across the disciplines of science, I know that today is really special for a lot of people.
It is, yes.
Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, it's time now to check in with our first team along the path of totality. Here is Tahira Allen in Kerrville, Texas, a city so lucky it gets a solar eclipse twice in a single year.
Thanks, Megan, and welcome to Kerrville, Texas. I'm Tahira Allen with NASA Communications.
And I'm Gina DiBraccio, the Deputy Director of Heliophysics at NASA Goddard.
We're live from the Kerrville Eclipse Festival, where tens of thousands are gathering to witness the second solar eclipse that has passed through this town in just 6 months. Now, this is incredibly rare, and people have traveled from all over the world to share in this spectacular moment right here at the crossroads of the eclipse. Now, Gina, we were lucky enough to be here last year for the annular solar eclipse. How does it feel to be back?
You know, the annular was such a spectacular experience, but I'm already feeling even more energy today, and
it's
I'm
like
so
double
excited
the crowd.
to be here. It is.
Yeah. No, and and we have a full day of celebration in store. You know, the town really turned out for this event. This morning we heard from the mayor, and we are surrounded with food and shopping and different activities. I think I saw the Texas State Astronomy Club here giving out free telescope viewings. So it's just a really, really special moment for people to come together and enjoy this celestial event.
It's right to hear it. And you know, we had some cloud coverage today. It's looking to be pretty good.
It's going back and forth. So, you know, fingers crossed.
Regardless of how this turns out, we have live music and dancing afterwards, so it's going to be a good day.
Absolutely, and you know, I mean, this is going to be my first total solar eclipse, and so last year was incredible with the annular. Folks, if this is your first total solar eclipse, let us know in the comments wherever you're watching. We'd love to hear it. So this is also a good time to remind everyone that it is not safe to look directly at the sun without specialized eye protection for solar viewing. Now that is except during the brief phase where the moon is completely covering the sun, and that will only be for those in the path of totality. Now we have a special guest that you might recognize popping in to share some important tips to make sure you stay safe during today's events.
Hi Eclipse enthusiasts, Lance Bass here, and I want to tell you how to protect those eyes and stay safe during a solar eclipse. During these celestial events, the sun, earth, and moon are in sync, creating solar eclipses. You can look directly at the sun during a total solar eclipse, but only when it's completely covered by the moon for a brief period known as totality. This is a really special moment. At all other times, you should wear eclipse glasses so that you don't say bye-bye-bye to your vision. Seriously. And eclipse glasses are not the same as regular sunglasses. No, they're not. Safe solar viewers are thousands of times darker and will have a specific certification that you should look for right here. Don't be a space cowboy and try to look directly at the sun. If you don't have eclipse glasses, you can use an indirect viewing method, like a pinhole projector. You can make one of these with something as simple as an index card with a hole, or a colander, or even your hands. With the sun at your back, you can safely project an image of the sun through the hole onto a nearby surface, like the ground. It's gonna be me who is wearing my eclipse glasses, and so are you.
Now, you can't have an eclipse without the sun, the moon, and the earth. And as you heard from Megan and Sarah earlier, we've been hosting a friendly competition to see which one of these three teams that you're siding with today. Now, Gina, I feel like it almost goes unsaid here, but I have to ask. I don't want to assume. Which team are you repping today?
You probably were going to guess sun.
Oh,
Team Sun.
Who would have thought?
You're right.
No.
So heliophysics, it's the study of the sun and its influence on everything. And it impacts all of our planets. And today, the solar corona is stealing the spotlight of the show. So Team Sun for me.
I guess it really is the star of the show today. But you know what, Gina? I think I'm going to have to be a little bit biased too.
Okay.
So International Observe the Moon Night, which is NASA's annual celebration of all things moon, actually falls on my birthday this year.
Okay.
So I think I'm having a little bit of a lunar connection.
All right, Team
But
Moon.
for those watching, if you haven't joined the fun yet, you can vote for your Eclipse team on NASA's Solar System Facebook, X, and Instagram. We're going to be sharing those poll results throughout the show, so be sure to go vote for your team. Now, also during the broadcast, you can send us questions using #Eclipse on social media. We have teams standing by online to answer, and we're going to be taking some of those questions live on today's show. Now, speaking about taking questions live, Gina, we actually had some kids send in videos before today's show.
Oh, nice.
So let's roll one of those right now.
My name is Jonathan. My question is, will NASA do any experiments during the solar eclipse? Thank you.
Oh, great question, Jonathan. Now, we have a bunch of different experiments that will take place during the eclipse today. So first, we're trying to study the solar corona. So we have NASA's WB-57 high-altitude research jet flying across the path of totality, taking pictures of that upper atmosphere of the sun, that corona, so that we can learn its composition, why it gets to be heated to extreme temperatures. But we also care about the eclipse's impact on Earth and the upper atmosphere. So we're launching 3 sounding rockets up into the atmosphere before, during, and after peak eclipse so that we can study how the atmosphere is changing as well.
So, you know, we're studying it with a plane, we're studying it with rockets.
Exactly.
Any other way?
You know, we have balloons, science balloons that are going up too, and we also have different ways that the public will be able to get involved in some of these experiments too.
Thanks, Gina. And I actually have a great follow-up question to this. This is from Lisa on Facebook, who wants to know more about the sounding rockets. So they ask, why is NASA shooting rockets into the moon's shadow during today's events?
Okay, let's talk more about the sounding rockets because they are a lot of fun. So the first sounding rocket will be 45 minutes before peak eclipse, the next one during that peak eclipse, and the final one after, 45 minutes after. And that's because we really want to understand the difference in density and temperature and these different factors in the upper atmosphere and really get a sense of how the atmosphere changes as the eclipse is coming and passes over. So we have all these rockets going up and it'll be a good day for that.
Great, and hopefully we'll get to see a replay of that later on in today's show.
That's right.
Now, folks, it is really special for us to be back here in Kerrville, Texas, covering today's total solar eclipse. Just last October, an annular solar eclipse passed right through this town. Now, for a location to be at the crossroads of these two incredible celestial events is rare. Let's take a look at how the community has been preparing in the lead up to this big day.
Kerrville is the eclipse capital of the state of Texas. It is known as being the capital of the Texas Hill Country. It's the epitome of Texas. Ranches, deer, beautiful streams like the Guadalupe here.
Kerrville is very welcoming.
It's a wonderful community.
Tight-knit, small.
It has about 25,000 people.
Kerrville is blessed to be in that special square, the annular eclipse in 2023 and the total solar eclipse in 2024.
We're talking about crossroads, you know. We get it twice.
Two eclipses right here, right where I stand. It's statistically extraordinary.
We get two in less than 6 months.
Everybody's excited about it. City council, county commissioners, everybody's working diligently to be able to provide safe opportunity for the influx of people.
This will be the biggest event in the history of the city, and that's why the city is preparing. We're preparing to make the event enjoyable for everybody who wants to see this tremendous natural phenomena.
I think that Kerrville has done an awesome job of preparing, way in advance.
It's getting that message out to people to make sure that they're taken care of personally, but then there's the science part of it, letting them know what is an eclipse.
And I'm just having a great time going out and talking to civic organizations and clubs and to talk about eclipses. So this will be my 4th and 5th solar eclipses.
I've seen total eclipse in Nebraska. I drove 1,200 miles for a little over 2 minutes, and it was well worth it.
And just couldn't believe the experience of the eclipse. I mean, it literally gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it. It's a visceral, emotional experience that is just, you have to experience it to understand.
I thought I knew what it would be like, but I gasped at the sheer wonder.
It's going to be a, you're going to hear that intake of air and awe.
It was the most beautiful natural thing I've ever seen. So to have an eclipse basically in my backyard is just, it's indescribable.
We're here now with Catherine Troach, a telescope operator with the Night Sky Network, who is giving us these high-definition views of the sun that you see in your screen right now, of the eclipse over Kerrville, Texas. Kat, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me, and let's thank the weather for cooperating finally.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Thanks, Kat. And so I'm looking at the telescope feed that we have, and we have first contact now here in Kerrville.
Yes.
Okay, so for people who want to become an amateur astronomer, what advice do you have? Where should they get started?
The easiest way to get started is to look up Night Sky Network. Night Sky Network has over 400 astronomy clubs in the United States. You would just use our search function to plug in your city and find the club that's closest to you. And if you don't have a club that's close to you, you can use our coordinator tips to start your own astronomy club.
Wow, that is awesome. And you know what? For folks, if you want some more details on the Night Sky Network and other things on how to become an amateur astronomer, you can visit go.nasa.gov/Night Sky Network. Now, a fun fact about today's broadcast that I absolutely loved learning was that so many of our telescope views that you're going to be seeing today are from amateur astronomers. And so, Kat, again, on this topic of, sky gazing, I heard that those in the path of totality might be able to witness more than just a total solar eclipse today. Could you give us a sneak peek on what we could expect?
Absolutely. So if we have clear skies in the path of totality, As it gets darker, you'll start to see 2 bright points of light. That would be Jupiter and Venus. And then as we get to totality, you'll be able to see the fainter planets, Saturn, Mercury, and Mars. And if you're lucky, you'll be able to catch Comet 12P.
Oh, what a crazy, cosmic alignment today, you know? So, man.
Great. So, for the amateur astronomers that actually want to view today's celestial event, what tips do you have for them?
So, of course, you need to have solar protection. You need to have solar-safe glasses. And you need to have solar filters for your telescopes, your binoculars, your cameras. But you can also use indirect viewing, like a pinhole projector box, or you can use a disco ball.
A disco ball?
Yes.
Wait, how does this work? Can you, walk us through this?
So as the sun hits the mirrors, and it'll cast a little reflection onto the surface here, you'll see little crescent shapes as the eclipse progresses.
That is incredible.
We need to keep that disco ball.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No, seriously. So, Gina, didn't you say you could also use your hands
That's
at one
right.
point?
You know, you can take your fingers and weave them together to let the light project through so that you can see the projection of the eclipse on the ground.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So a lot of different ways to be able to view today's event.
There's no one wrong way to do it, unless you're
just
using
to do it.
that. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
Just make sure you do it safely.
Yeah. And so, Kat, too, you know, earlier you gave me a little reveal of your shirt. It is too perfect for today's show. You know, could you give our viewers a little taste?
Sure, no problem. So if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Totality going on at the moment.
Love it.
Thank you so much for being here, Kat.
Thanks you again for having me.
Absolutely. And so now coming up soon, we're going to get our first views of the total solar eclipse as it begins in Mexico, sweeping across North America. We have correspondents all along this path who are going to bring you live into the action as it happens. First up, let's check in with Joy Ung in Dallas, Texas.
Thanks to Harry and Gina. So welcome to the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Garden. I'm Joy Ung, and as you can see behind me, we have a lot of people eagerly waiting for the total solar eclipse. It's so amazing to hear so many people talk about the sun and the moon, and what makes this day even special is that the eclipse gives scientists a really unique chance to do science. So to tell me more, I'm here with NASA scientist Dr. Ashley Greeley. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Joy. Thanks for having me.
So firstly, how are you feeling about today?
I'm feeling really excited. The skies are starting to clear out, and it looks like we might get a pretty good show.
Fingers crossed. So earlier in the show, we learned that today's eclipse will look quite different from the 2017 eclipse. We're going to see more structures in the sun's outer atmosphere. So Ashley, can you tell me, why is that different? Why is the sun going to look different, and why is it changing?
Sure. The sun goes through phases, which we call a solar cycle, that last roughly 11 years. And those are periods where the sun is less active and periods where the sun is more active. We're entering a time of solar maximum, which is really exciting because that means that the sun is more active. Its magnetic fields are more dynamic. We may see features here, such as streamers, which looks like little spiky wisps in the sun's atmosphere, which we call the corona, and then little prominences, which look like little pink arcs on the surface of the sun. Yeah, we're really excited to see this, and we hope that we'll see some really interesting features. There may be a little bit of asymmetry as well in the magnetic fields, and I don't know, I guess we'll have to find out in about an hour.
So the sun is changing. So do those changes affect life on Earth at all?
Sure, yes. The sun does affect life here on Earth. We have a term that we call space weather, which applies to the field of study of everything from the sun to the Earth and in between, and how that affects life here. We are fortunate that on Earth we are protected from things coming from the sun by our magnetic fields, which shield us from those explosions that come from the surface of the sun that we talked about. Those can result in really fun occurrences, such as the aurora. There can be some negative side effects, but those are mostly limited to things that are outside our magnetic fields. The storms from the sun can interfere with satellites, and it's something we really have to think about as scientists as we start to plan for putting humans on the surface of the moon or potentially sending them to Mars. Those energetic particles that result from the sun can impact humans, so that's just something that we have to learn about and take into account.
So the sun is always there, of course, but why are eclipses a good time to study these effects called space weather?
Yeah, eclipses are a really cool time for scientists to be able to study the sun. It's really hard to completely cover the disk of the sun in order to study the sun's atmosphere, especially that inner part of the atmosphere. We're really fortunate that here on Earth, our moon is just the right size and just the right distance from Earth that it can completely block out the sun's disk during total solar eclipses. So we're really able to observe that inner atmosphere in a way that we can't normally. So this event is really exciting for both scientists and the public alike, and that's just such a cool experience to share together.
Thank you so much, Ashley. So if you're lucky enough to be in the path of totality, keep an eye out for that sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, and you'll know that you see these spiky features, and it's because the sun is heading towards its most active phase. So for now, let's head to our friends in Russellville, Arkansas. Jasmine, how are things looking on your side?
Joy, things are looking absolutely fabulous in a very sunny downtown Russellville, Arkansas. As she said, I'm NASA's Jasmine Hopkins, and I'm coming to you live from the Depot District, where the city is throwing a massive block party, all in celebration of the total solar eclipse. Now, people in Arkansas have great reason to celebrate because this is only the second total solar eclipse visible from the state since it was first established in 1836, and the next one visible from here won't happen for another 2 decades. So people around me are gearing up for what feels like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now, it's not just the residents of Russellville that are excited. On average, the city has about 29,000 residents, but for the past 8 months, they've been preparing to receive upwards of 100,000 tourists right here in the city. Now, of course, NASA has been a big part of that preparation, so to show you what we've been doing to help, I have a video here to show you. So we have been talking to the next generation of space explorers right here in Arkansas. We started off at Arkansas Technical University, and then we moved on to Russellville City Schools, where we spoke to hundreds of students all the way from 8th grade to 12th grade about this total solar eclipse. We had NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, the Arkansas Air National Guard, the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and even the Paris Observatory joining us all the way from France. Now, during that moment of totality, Arkansas will experience from 94 to 100% obscurity from the sun, and we'll have 4 minutes and 12 seconds to really soak in that fantastic cosmic event. Now, until that moment, of course, we are telling the residents to stay safe, keep those solar eclipse glasses on. But now let's go from Arkansas to Illinois with Blair Allen. How are things looking for you?
Jasmine, we're super excited here because crowds are filing into the stadium, but the main story here is the weather. Everything looks absolutely good and clear for totality today. We're very excited. We're just hoping, just like 2017, a little cloud doesn't come in and obscure things. But I tell you what, there's been a total solar eclipse here in 2017. Observation did not stop at SIU. Joining us now are 2 SIU students who actually did some observing. This is Callie and Paige. Now, Callie, I know that you guys went to Australia in 2023 and you observed the totality using an interesting technique. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when we were in Australia, we used a sun funnel to view it, and what it does is it projects basically what the telescope is seeing onto a film. And so a sun funnel is just basically a funnel with 2 hose clamps and rear projection film, and it just projects the sun, and we actually captured a picture of totality as that eclipse was happening.
And it's pretty cool because it allows other people, instead of having to go through the eyepiece, you get to see it. Pretty impressive. Now, Paige, you guys are going to do some observation today. What are you set up for here in Carbondale today?
Yes, so we have 2 telescopes set up with the sun funnels for viewing for a select view of the public, and right now we're pointed at the sun and we're excited to see totality.
Now, what are your odds on good weather?
It's looking pretty good. I'm excited.
Isn't that great? I'm so excited. I tell you what, one final question, because I know you're experts with solar safety, but Team Earth, Sun, or Moon?
We're both Team Moon.
Team Moon, Team Sun. I tell you, that's the best you're going to get, but we're all pro Eclipse. Back to you, Tahira.
Let's go Team Moon. So, as you can see, folks, we've got a lot of exciting things in store all across this country, and that was only half of it. You're going to meet three more of our locations later on in the show. Now, Gina, we've got a ton of questions coming in online right now from our viewers. Yep. How do you feel about some Q&A?
Let's answer some.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it. So our first question is from Fair Cerritos on Instagram, who wants to know, how can I help NASA?
You can help NASA by participating in the eclipse. If you can see it today, go outside, enjoy the moment, or download the Globe Observer app. You can do that right now before the eclipse crosses your path. You need a thermometer, and you just record the local temperatures and the cloud coverage.
Fantastic. Globe Observer app. So thank you so much, Gina, and thank you to everybody sending in those questions. We'll take some more later on throughout the show. For now, let's check back in with Megan and Sarah in Cleveland, who are standing by with an out-of-this-world surprise.
Yes, quite literally that, Tahira, because we have a special treat for our viewers right now, joining us live in space, 250 miles above the Earth in the International Space Station. Everyone, please help us welcome NASA astronauts Jeanette Epps and Mike Barrett. Sarah, you've been waiting.
I'm so excited.
For this.
Oh, there they are.
Hello, everyone. Oh, Jeanette, Mike, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to join you guys, and I hope everybody appreciates NASA scheduling this eclipse to bring the world together.
Yes, thank you so much to NASA, and thank you so much for joining us. Now you guys will have 3 opportunities to view the moon's shadow over North America, and that last pass will give you guys the best views. And we hope to also share those live views with everyone here on this broadcast around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, Jeanette, I have 2 questions for you. Are you looking forward to being one of the few people seeing today's total solar eclipse from space? And 2, I know your crew member Matt Dominic will use a camera with a solar filter to photograph the sun being eclipsed by the moon. Will you also be taking photos of the celestial alignment?
I'm definitely taking pictures of the solar alignment. And I think we're very fortunate to be here at this special vantage point to see such a special event at this time. So I'm definitely excited.
What about you, Mike? What's going through your mind as you're preparing to see such an awe-inspiring event?
Well, admittedly, I'm a bit of an eclipse junkie. You know, my first one was like when I was 19 with the homemade telescope in the desert, and a few since then. And actually, during the 2017 eclipse, I was on a chartered aircraft several hundred miles off the coast of Oregon watching it. And I got a strange bucket list, and this is one of the things that's on it, to actually watch an eclipse shadow cross the Earth from space. So I'm ecstatic to see this box gets checked and just to see this amazing thing from up here.
Yeah, the fact that that was actually a box on your list is pretty
That's
amazing.
amazing.
And then now it's getting checked. So, you know, for those wondering, this is what the moon's shadow will look like to Jeanette and Mike. We're going to show you video taken from the space station of the total solar eclipse in 2017. And you can clearly see the shadow moving across the top of your screen there from left to right. We actually sped up the video so you can see more of that transit. This would look a lot slower to them, but really cool. Jeanette, eclipses give us a unique opportunity to study the sun and how it affects the Earth. Can you tell us about the atmospheric waves experiment attached to the outside of the space station right now?
Sure. We have an atmospheric wave experiment that's going on now, and what it looks at are these atmospheric gravity waves. And these waves transport energy and momentum up through the climate system. So with the imager on the atomic wave experiment, we're going to look at how these atmospheric gravity waves impact our Earth's climate, how it can impact our space and global and all of our comms, how it can affect our navigation system. And so over the next 2 years, researchers will use an infrared imager to look at the global distribution of these waves as well as their characteristics.
Mike, how does it feel to have a hand in maintaining the space station so that important science like the atmospheric waves experiment can happen?
Well, of course, the main reason we're up here is actually to conduct that science. We maintain the station to keep this platform what it should be, what it was built to be, which is a vibrant laboratory, which covers so many different disciplines on the inside and the outside, like the gravity waves experiment. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege, as much as anything, to have a hand in that science, and we end up being basically the eyes, the hands, the on-site presence to conduct that science. And we get to be the first to see results of just amazing things that are years in the making by a bunch of really smart, ambitious scientific teams on the ground. So that's really where the joy is. Maintaining the station is just like maintaining a research ship, something I actually quite like. So I feel very much at home in that role.
It's still blowing my mind. I mean, we're here in Cleveland, Ohio, live. You guys are up in space in the International Space Station. I can't believe the opportunity that has been afforded to us, and I hope our viewers really enjoyed this time with you. And I hope you enjoy the show from up there. All right.
We have, but we do want to close by saying, first of all, we really enjoy being here, but everybody stay safe. And use the simple means to protect your eyes as you look at the eclipse, as Jeanette and I are modeling here, which makes us blind as a bat on the inside, but solar protected on the outside. So we encourage everyone to do the same.
Really great advice from both of them. Thank you so much. Sarah and I have our glasses,
That's right.
and we're ready to go. Also blind if we don't do this. All right, again, Jeanette, Mike, thank you so much. And we actually have some time to take questions from the audience. We have #Eclipse. That's how you can send questions to us. So let us take a video from another curious kid we have watching.
Hi, my name is Adrian. My question is, why will we not see a total eclipse in California? Thank you.
That's a great question, Adrian. So we only a precious few today are going to get to see a total eclipse because the moon is so much smaller than the Earth. It only casts a very narrow shadow. But still, even in California, you're going to get to see a partial eclipse, and that is still a really cool event. So I do encourage you to get out there and see it for yourself today.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, #Eclipse. Wherever you're watching us, drop that in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can on the show. Okay, so we have, obviously, people celebrating with us online and at events across the country. So why don't we check out some of those events again now? Waco, Texas again. People look very, very comfortable in their camping chairs and spread out on picnic blankets.
Yeah, look like they're having a good time.
Yeah.
A few clouds.
A few clouds, but again, they have some time there before. Kennedy Space Center, they will see a partial eclipse. We have some people walking around the Rocket Garden.
Oh, it looks like they have beautiful weather there.
California Academy of Sciences, yes, they do. They have clear skies. We're very, very jealous over here. And then the Mentor Civic Amphitheater, that's starting to
fill up.
Exactly. There were fewer people when we checked in ago, but now lots of people there and lots of people at the Adirondack Sky Center. I wish I could wave and say hello.
They look like they're getting ready for some stuff, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the snow cleared out because there was snow over the weekend, but now it looks like a beautiful, probably still crisp day there for them. Okay, and now we're back here with astronaut Steve Bone, who's looking around, taking in the sights, Steve.
I am.
see.
It's just an amazing amount of people. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, you can feel the energy.
And it's really cool that you're here. So Steve is here because, you know, obviously, as we've been saying throughout the show, you really should have these glasses to safely view the eclipse. But if you don't have glasses, that's why Steve is here. So Steve, I see that you brought some supplies for us.
I did. I have a little bit for everybody. We'll see how we can do here today.
All right.
So this is like a pinhole viewer. And so it's basically a pinhole camera. I don't know if you ever had to do that when you were a kid, is make a little camera by basically poking a hole in a piece of paper.
Okay.
And then using that to focus onto a screen.
Okay.
And so we all have pins here, I guess.
Yes. So we have a paper plate, we have index card, and we have pins.
And I have my Crew 6 pin.
Nice, nice. All right, so what do we do, Steve?
Basically, all you have to do is poke a hole in the cardboard.
Okay.
And the size of the hole will determine the focal length, the focal distance of your viewer.
Okay.
And it has to be big enough that the light will come through. And it's sometimes hard to do if we don't have like direct sunlight. So you want to make sure you have a big enough hole. I think that'd probably be enough. Yeah. And then what you'll end up doing, if we had the sun, you could basically over your shoulder, don't look at the sun.
Mm-hmm. Sun behind us.
Sun behind us.
Yes.
And so you hold this up, and you'll see, you can actually get, there it is. I can see.
We do see it with the lights, the studio lights.
You only need a little bit, and then depending on how far in and out you move it, and the size of the hole, that gives you your focal length.
Got it.
Just like a lens.
And basically, like we're saying with the studio lights, if something were to pass over the studio lights, that same shadow essentially would be projected through
Absolutely.
the index card right now. That's how you safely watch it.
That is a good, safe way to watch it. There's a lot of other ways to see it as well.
I know that. I have that.
Come prepared.
Colander, right?
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun because if you're in an open area like this today, and you don't have your glasses or you just want to see something really cool, again, put it over your shoulder and hold it. And you'll get a big array of all those little eclipses happening on the ground below you.
Yeah, actually, I think we have a picture of that. I'd love to see that because really it is a very,
pretty.
perfect. Look at that, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, even if you don't have anything, right, you can actually use your hands to make your own sort of improvised pinhole cameras.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And, you know, I was explaining a little bit ago that in my own yard during the annual eclipse, when I was out working in the yard, and I said, hey, there's an annular eclipse going on. So I went under a tree, and I was looking at a tree, and then on my driveway, all these little eclipses, just hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing pictures.
Great. So I hope if people have trees near them, they can take a look at that. Steve, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
All right, so the eclipse is getting closer and closer to the west coast of Mexico. We will experience totality there at Mazatlan, in particular, 2:07 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's head back over to James at our eclipse board for another look at the path of totality.
Yeah, thanks so much, Megan. A lot coming up very soon, and make sure you know exactly when to go outside to observe that totality if you're on our path. Or even right now, if you're experiencing a partial eclipse, I've got in our Eclipse Explorer here, I can zoom out just a hair here to show you this. I've got our penumbra on, so this is all the places inside here already experiencing a partial eclipse. You've been seeing some great feeds from our camera in Mazatlan, Mexico. They've been experiencing that kind of crescent sun for a little while now. They're just about 20 minutes out from actually experiencing totality itself. They're going to have a long window where they are 4 minutes and 17 seconds. For some context, back in 2017, the last eclipse that swept across America, the longest time was only around 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That was in Carbondale. This time around, some very long times, just a little bit northwest of Torreon, Mexico. They're going to get upwards of 4.5 minutes. A lot of time to really observe it, but just make sure that you know when to be outside. And as always, access that tool at go.nasa.gov/Eclipse Explorer. This is going to keep moving on. You see this little thing. I have this actually running in real time. This is our shadow of totality. This is going to continue to move further and further to the northeast and actually make landfall in just a few moments in Mazatlan, Mexico. As you've seen all throughout the broadcast, we've got correspondents all up and down the U.S., all the way up to Maine, covering this live. Very excited to continue tracking this. Make sure you know what's going on here. But for now, back to you, Megan.
All right, thank you, James. So now let's introduce you to more of our correspondents along the path, starting first with NASA's Lauren Ward, standing by to show us what's happening in Indianapolis, Indiana.
That's right. Thanks, Megan. We are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is a gorgeous day. Behind me, I have over 50,000 people here to spectate today. Today, we are waiting for a spectacle that is of a celestial kind. Of course, this is most known for the Indy 500, but we are waiting for something a little bit special today. With me, I have the 2016 Indianapolis Motor Speedway winner, Alexander Rossi. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. So the Helio Big Year is a celebration of sun science and how the sun touches everything, including IMS. So tell me, the track when you're doing a qualifying round is about 4 minutes long, which coincidentally is the length of totality. So tell us, what is it like being on the track?
You know what? The sun plays a huge role in determining the performance of the car based on the track conditions. So we actually, when it's a day like this, as much as it's beautiful for the fans, it's actually very difficult for us as drivers, because as the surface heats up, the oils come to the top of the asphalt and it actually becomes slippier. So that's surprising to people. They think that temperature would mean grip, but it is until a certain point. And then once it kind of crosses over 100 degrees on the surface, you start to actually go the other way.
Wow. And tell me about those tires. How does the sun affect those?
So we use slick tires. So Firestone tires are slick. On a road car, you have tread, right? Because they're supposed to be used in all conditions. Slick tires actually have a bigger contact patch, more surface area, so they generate more grip at a temperature, right? So they operate between 180 to 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, the sun is good until a point. When they go over that 230 degree mark, you start to lose that grip again.
Ooh, all right. Well, we have a little competition going on today. We're trying to determine whose big day is it. Is it the sun's, the moon's, or the Earth? So my question to you is, are you Team Sun, Team Moon, or Team Earth?
That's a hard one, but I'm going to go Team Earth. You know, I just think we're so lucky, especially today with the people that are around us here to be able to witness what we're about to see. Go Earth.
Go Earth. You heard it here first. All right, guys, thanks. We'll be back here. Daryl in Niagara, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Lauren. Just 500 miles northeast of you. We are here at Niagara Falls, right next to the Niagara River. This is a special location for a lot of people because it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see a natural wonder set against a celestial one, the solar eclipse. And so let's talk first of all about the natural wonder, and it all starts right here. Look at this massive river and the amount of water that's moving through here. 500,000 gallons of water, 500,000 bathtubs actually going over the falls at every 60 seconds. It's tremendous, the flow here. It interacts with the air, it hits the rocks, and it also, you know, it flows up a mist column that is omnipresent. This is always here. So one of the things that eclipse watchers want to see is, how does it interact with the light? Will we have a pink rainbow because only prominences from the sun will be seen and they're pink? We'll have to see about that. One thing we do need is a little bit better cloud clearing around here because we do have some cloud cover. But that's okay. People who have gathered here are excited and they're hopeful that it will clear. Who's here? Well, I want to show you our camera from about 500 feet away. Look at all my friendly eclipse watchers. Are you guys ready for an eclipse? Yeah! Well, I love the energy. We could use this energy to blow the clouds out of here. As our camera backs out, you're looking at Terrapin Point, and this is the lawn here. It's roughly the size of a football field, and everybody who's here, a lot of people came in at 6 a.m. this morning. They currently cut off the park from anybody from coming further into Goat Island here. So this is the max capacity that we're at right now. It's that popular. Over to the other side, our friends from Canada. Look across the river gorge, about 1,000 feet away. Niagara Parkway is lined with people. So it's a beautiful shot over there, and we really appreciate our Canadian friends who have joined us. Now, this isn't just about the solar eclipse. We've been here for the past week, and we were at locations all across Niagara Falls, 12 to be exact. Take a look at this video. Crowds of people packed the Niagara State Park Welcome Center, where Commander Munikin Campos, the mannequin who flew around the moon during the Artemis 1 test flight in 2022, was on display. Our partners at the Canadian Space Agency sent kids virtually to space all week long. And NASA experts from the Kennedy Space Center gave presentations and talks at places like the Niagara Aerospace Museum and libraries across the area. The outreach was a huge success, with thousands of people participating in the events and passing through our exhibits. And we just want to thank everyone who came out to see us at all our locations, and we hope you left a little inspired about space